English translation 287th contact. Monday, 10th July 2000, 01:54 hours.
You come unexpectedly, my friend. But be welcome and greeted.
I have been summoned to you for a reason unknown to me. This is the point of my coming. But I also greet you.
Ah, and who told you to come see me? Was it Florena?
That is right. Did you instruct her to?
In a sense, yes. I asked her to tell you to come and see me if I could not reach you telepathically myself.
Then something important might come up?
Yes, you could say that. It is a very private matter that affects you personally, among other things.
But I am wondering, because I do not know what it could be.
You will find out soon. But first, I would like to know from you whether I can process the conversation into the contact report later. But it is really very private what we both have to discuss together.
You make me wonder more and more, and if it is as private as you say, then I do not want the conversation between us to be officially recalled in the manner you suggest.
So be it. Your wish is my command. That is what I said to Florena when I talked to her and assured her that I would do my best to do this very private thing. The whole thing is connected to her. Well then, be all ears.
What should I say?
Just let me hear from you how you feel about this. After all, we are two grown men and should be able to communicate.
That is fine, but...
With but, etc., we do not go any further.
Of course not.
Are you as inhibited and shy as Florena?
In a certain wise, yes.
Then of course that is the reason why you two did not dare to discuss the whole thing with each other, and admit to each other's feelings of a spiritually fine sensitive nature and feelings. It is really remarkable that this is still the case with you, just as it is with certain inhibited and shy humans on the earth. In any case, I suppose that you two are in love and that you desire Florena, if I interpret your words correctly.
Your assumption corresponds to reality. Yes, I love Florena. Only I did not dare to talk to her about it.
Which also applies to Florena. But tell me, how old are you?
23 years old.
So about twice as old as Florena. You would think that inhibitions and shyness in the relationship of love to another person should no longer carry so much weight.
In and of itself already, but we are also only human beings, and with regard to morals and decency, etc., we cultivate much higher standards than is the case with terrestrial human beings.
Thus everything becomes clearer and more understandable to me. So I can only say that your and Florena's behavior in this regard honors you.
Thank you for your understanding, and above all for your conversation and the enlightening words.
No thanks are necessary. Besides, I am happy to be able to fulfill my task in a good sense. Will you now speak to Florena and give her the pleasure of revealing your feelings of a spiritually fine sensitive nature and feelings for her? I do not think I need to continue to deal with this now.
It will be my next step to talk to Florena. And again, thank you very much.
Now that everything has changed for the better, may I include our conversation in the contact report?
I do not want the first thing I mention to be known. But afterwards there is no secret to keep.
I will stick to that. Now that everything has come to a happy end, may I finally ask you a question?
There is nothing wrong with that.
Good. On the 6th of July 2000, Enjana circled around in our area. From 14:55 hours to 20:45 HRs, whereby we could photograph her, respectively, her beamship in the afternoon, because she called me and drew my attention to her flying around. Can we find out what she had to do in the area?
She had to make observations regarding the foreigners. These are now increasingly active in Swiss and German as well as French, Italian and Austrian areas. Also in the Nordic countries, they are increasingly noticeable for us.
And do you still not have any knowledge about their being here?
Both the purpose of their being here and their origin are still unknown to us.
And why do you not just simply make contact with them?
The foreigners offer us too many uncertainties in many respects. For this reason, we must strictly adhere to our directive of not establishing contact.
Understood. But may I still ask if you may tell me how many types of beam ships you have alternately in operation here on Earth? Or is that secret?
That is not subject to secrecy. We operate in earthly space with 76 different types of flying apparatuses.
And are they all of purely Pleiaren origin? Or do you also have ship types that you use, that come from other Federation peoples, etc.?
A certain number of the types of flying apparatuses we have in use on Earth have been developed and constructed by other peoples of our Federation. They are therefore not of Pleiaren origin.
The ship you flew on the 3rd of June 2000, which Barbara was able to photograph, is it a Pleiaren or non-Pleiaren construction?
It is one of the numerous Pleiaren constructions.
The ship is somewhat out of character with those I was allowed to photograph in the late 70s and early 80s. Even that which Edith was able to photograph in Italy, in connection with Florena, was not one of those which I know from my photographic work.
Flyable weather by Silvano Lehmann, Switzerland.
On the 6th of July 2000, just coming back from Will SG, I, Silvano Lehmann, wanted to go into the garden to get some vegetables, while Billy settled down in the kitchen and enjoyed a coffee. But suddenly he shot up and shouted, "Njana flies by to the west of the center." So we ran off to see the telepathically announced beam ship, while Billy quickly grabbed the camera that was always ready to take a picture. Hastily we ran to the west side of the center and searched the somewhat interspersed gray-white and almost cloudless sky, and saw after a short moment of searching actually at 14. 55 hours a ship at a considerable distance flying along. The camera was quickly pulled out with the 200 telephoto lens, and the flying object was zoomed in, so that it could actually be clearly recognized as a Pleiaren beam ship. A picture was taken quickly before the ship suddenly disappeared from the scene, so that it could no longer be observed by Nathan Brand, who now joined us. In the early evening of the same day, we both, Billy and I, Silvano Lehmann, were busy rolling up the garden hose and were on our way from the center to the main building, when Billy said, "Come quickly, Silvano, Pleiaren Njana flies past the western sky again." Immediately we ran back to the garden and searched the sky, which, in contrast to the afternoon, was now blue and had 2 or 3 cloud formations. But we could not see anything and wanted to go back to work when Billy got a new telepathic call from Njana and said, "The ship will appear right out of the gray-black cloud and fly northwards." So we strained to observe the cloud formation, and there, all of a sudden, Njana's ship appeared. It was about the size of a large grapefruit, exactly at 2013 airs. Suddenly, the beam ship disappeared again in the cloud, which caused us to want to go back to our work. But again, Billy received a telepathic call and said, "Njana's ship will appear again at the end of the cloud on the lower right." So we stayed at the place, waited about half a minute to see how the beam ship shot out of the cloud again, and how a small elliptical sun lit up, only to disappear without a trace. The same thing repeated itself at 20:45 HRs, after which the sightings were finally over. Unfortunately, we did not have the photo camera with us during the last 2 sightings. Consequently, only the very good shot of the afternoon at 14:55 hours remained, which, however, shows a Plejaren beam ship extremely clear and distinct.
On the other hand, the ship Njana flew last Thursday, which we were also able to photograph, was a typical Plejaren ship, one with a superstructure. Say, do you fly different ships alternately? At least that is how it seems to me.
Yes, we do not always use the same flying objects, but this is not the rule.
That brings me to the end of my questions.
Then I would like to say goodbye and devote myself to what moves me deeply and what I am extremely happy and full of happiness about.
I do not want to keep you from it, and greet your dear girl for me quite cordially. I wish you all the best, constant love and much happiness, fortune and joy.
Once again, I would like to thank you very sincerely.
Now please do not do that. It is really not worth mentioning, because my efforts are based on human duty, and this does not require any thanks.
So you see it, my friend, but I am of a different opinion, because I think that a fulfilled human duty is also worthy of thanks. It is probably your modesty that honors you to refuse thanks.
Now that is enough, Zafanat Paniach. Please do not embarrass me, because I want to stay away from that. Farewell, my friend, and please convey my best and dearest greetings to Florina. Both of you, be sure of it, take a particularly friendly position in solidarity in my life, for which I was allowed to do for you as a mediator, honors me tremendously, and gives me the certainty that the teaching of love not only corresponds to correctness in all its parts and nuances, but that it and love itself is universe-wide of absolute validity, flawlessness, accuracy, effectiveness, thoroughness, and reality. Farewell, dear friend, and goodbye. Sachlomia.
Goodbye, Salome, my good friend. I am so grateful to you.